So now let's see who comes in.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. We should get other, I got 3 participants. I don't see anybody else. Okay, well, let me send to
Oh.
everybody else anyway.
The
Okay.
attendee is Danielle Dreyer.
That's Danielle, yeah,
That's
so
Danielle.
she should, okay, so she should be attendees allowed to talk.
Okay. Found a pen.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
We
we
can
can,
hear you.
Danielle.
Okay. Thank God someone found. Sorry, I couldn't get the login. I don't know what was going on.
Seems to be a problem in general, but here we are.
I think we actually have like 3 different links that we're working from.
I think you're right.
I talked to Jamie last time we met about it, and I think we were able to consolidate. But she had texted me the login for the Zoom, and I had deleted a bunch of text messages to like save storage on my phone. So lesson learned, write it down. But
Kate, I just texted I just emailed the other folks.
Wonderful.
thank you, Stuart.
Yep.
Is there anybody who's presenting tonight?
Nobody should be presenting tonight.
Okay.
But if you need me to share my screen, I currently can't.
Okay.
But I think everything should be on the agenda. If not, I can email it right to you.
Well, we got the revised tree ordinance, and Katie, thank you for providing the feedback you did. So when Nick hops on, we'll give him a few more minutes, we can dive into that. And I took a look at the chapter 270 zoning. I wasn't exactly sure what that was all about, but I took a look through it anyway.
And I was going through it while I was waiting to get into the meetings. I didn't make it over there.
It's long, but one thing to know, a lot of what's in the chapter 70 revision is actually already in the chapter 270. It's just a lot of stuff was shifted so that all the definitions would be in one place rather than throughout. So there are some new definitions, and we've tried to also make it consistent with other parts of the code, but there's a lot, but it's a lot that's already in there.
And I think the new definitions, and Stuart, you can correct me if I'm wrong, are just consolidating information that was already there as well. So it's not
Right.
entirely anything brand new.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the family definition may have been changed a little bit and some things like that, but
Yeah.
in terms of what you folks do, it doesn't impact from that perspective. It does more in just terms of this. We've taken obviously some other parts of the code out of there that were duplicative of what are in other sections of the code. But it just makes for it's a longer definition section, but this way you don't have to hunt through other sections to find what you're trying to get defined.
That makes a lot of sense.
Did you happen to CC me on the email that you sent out just
No,
now?
I'll send it to you
No,
right
okay. I just wanted to make sure because I didn't get anything.
now. No.
Sure.
You're
Making
right.
sure I'm not crazy.
No. Oh, you're not. Don't worry. Well, today was the first day of school in Mount Vernon, so my daughter likes to call and tell me what happens in the first day. So she's teaching 4th grade, and she goes, "Okay, so let's write on where did we go this summer?" And some student says, "Well, can I write that I was in a different state?" And she goes, "Sure. Where were you?" "Jamaica." My daughter goes, "Oh, we have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to
Yes.
do."
That's a great teaching moment, though.
And I said, it's interesting what she gets from these kids. Yes.
Mhm.
The geographer in me feels pained.
Yes. And it's not like it was Puerto Rico where one could argue that there might be a reason.
No,
for one
no,
could-
no, it was not. It was not, but
Yeah.
it was, she's just, said, okay, kids, good. That's nice.
How old are the kids?
4th grade.
Yeah, okay, you told me that, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. 4th grade.
I was laughing. I said you could tell all of the parents today because everyone had giant smiles on their faces and they were all bubbly and excited.
Well, that's great.
Okay. Is is Dana or Maddie joining us tonight, or is it just?
I don't know. I don't know if Maddie is. So I haven't heard from her at all.
I don't think Maddie is, but she also never confirmed.
Dana, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know
So
about
I don't
Dana.
know.
Keep an eye, make sure that no one's trying to email me in any other places.
Yeah. I still only got the 3 panelists and 1 attendee, so that stayed the same.
I mean, at this point, it's 7:15, so if you think it's a good idea to get started, I'm okay
right
with
ahead.
doing that, or okay. And if Nick is able to join, he can hop on and
Good.
come in
I'll be
whenever
right
he's
in.
ready. All
Yep.
right. So we are having the Environmental Advisory Council meeting for the Village of Ossining. This is the September 3rd, 2024 meeting. Just a quick roll call. Kate Schlott, chairperson, present.
Katie Alberti, member, present.
Stuart Kahan, Corporation Counsel. And Danielle, you're here.
And Danielle.
Yes, hello, Danielle from Nelson Pope Voorhees.
Okay. So on tonight's agenda, we have continuing business of the board, chapter 248 tree ordinance revised. We also have new business of the board, James Street CDBG application and the zoning code chapter 270 definitions updates. Should we start with continuing business and work on the tree ordinance revision first, or should we go into new business of the board first?
Whatever's your preference. If you want to
Whatever's
go
okay.
over something you've done before and work on that, that's fine.
I think just for the sake of that's probably the freshest in our head at the moment. Let's wrap up the continuing business of the board for the tree preservation law. Katie and I had a chance to review the updates over the weekend, and I know, Katie, you had a couple of things that you flagged. Actually, they were similar things that I was curious about too.
I have what I pulled up on my screen. If I share my screen, maybe that's a good place to start the
Hang on,
discussion.
I actually can have you share, so let me just do that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had actually both versions. I had the original revision and the one that you sent me earlier, Katie. So I think, yeah, working from yours, I
Katie,
think would
you're a
actually be
co-host now,
better.
so you can share.
All right. So say when.
When?
Anytime.
Okay, good. Screen 2. All right. Okay, I can increase the size. Let's try that. Oh, too much. All right.
That's good.
All right. So
That's perfect.
most of my comments are actually more related to grammar or expression, but on item paragraph 248.-4, administration trees on public property. The use of the word symmetry, I don't know if that's a technical term. It's the Department of Public Works shall have the right to trim, spray, preserve, and plant such trees as may be necessary to preserve symmetry. As an architect, symmetry to me has a very specific design definition. I'm wondering if in terms of trees, to me, perhaps health and appearance would be more appropriate, but Danielle may know this, there may be a particular, somebody else may, a particular usage of the word symmetry that applies to trees that would make it more appropriate.
No, not particularly. This was a section that was already existing in the code. But I don't think it means anything aside from design wise.
So I would suggest health and appearance.
Sure.
Well, does that make sense, Stuart? What do you think?
I think that's fine.
Mhm.
That's, well, I would say this to you, Katie, my only thought, and I was not here when this section was drafted. My guess is that symmetry for public works is probably easier because they can simply say, well, all the trees are gonna look the same. And so we'll just cut it and look, but I have no problem with preserving, the way you have it. So we can, that change can clearly be made. That's fine.
Okay, great.
We can
Sure.
also keep symmetry and say preserve symmetry, health, and appearance, if that also.
Sure.
Sure, that gives everybody.
Yeah.
Here. Okay, I'll go to next. All right, next. All right, wait a minute. Now I want to find the changes. Show markup. All markup. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I didn't do many. Oh, here we go. This is really grammar and expression. Under trimming of trees, public property. The current statement is any tree which is growing on public property, which is endangering or in any way may endanger. My suggestion is any tree growing on private property, which is endangering or in any way may endanger. Take out the redundant which is.
Fine.
Okay.
Just a quick interruption. I'm sorry, Stuart. Dana is trying to actually sign in. So if we can, I guess,
Let
resend
me
her the
send it
link
to
as well.
her.
Yeah.
I'll do it right now.
All right.
Shall I wait for Dana?
Okay, sent to her.
All right, let's see.
Coming in now.
All right.
Hi, Dana.
Dana.
I was
I was waiting to be let in, but I guess I had the wrong link. I'm sorry. I was actually on time and everything.
Oh,
I think we
no.
have like a bunch of different links going around, so we'll fix that confusion and get it set for October.
Okay.
I was suggesting some essential, mostly grammar improvements to the tree ordinance. And
Okay.
so this one was, instead of any tree which is growing on private property, which is endangering or in any way may endanger, just take out the first which is and say any tree growing. So that's one suggestion. And then under permit procedures here, the purpose of the permit, including an explanation for the reason of the tree removal from either the property owner or tree service contractor. My suggestion is to make it the purpose of the permit, including an explanation from either the property owner or the tree service contractor of why the tree should be removed. Because it sort of sounds like you're removing the tree from the property owner or the tree service contractor the other way.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Just
I
kind
see
of-
what you're saying, yeah.
Just
It took me a few seconds, but yeah.
And then under
Yeah.
number 8, the original is the survey of the tree of trees, and I think that was left over, was like a typo. So rather than a survey of that area of tree, oh, I'm sorry, no. The original is a survey of that area of trees or forest to be disturbed, showing the location of all trees. I would suggest simply make it a survey of the area of trees or forest to be disturbed. Again, a
Fine.
little nitpicky, but I think it'll clarify it.
No, that's fine.
And okay, under determination by approval authority, the effect of disturbance on the existing trees nearby, I think it was the existing trees by. And I think the word near was left out. So if you add existing trees nearby, it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, then approval by authority. Again, I think there were some words that would need to make it, and maybe I'm wrong. Initially, it was all tree permits not associated with the site plan or subdivision application, including clear cutting. The building inspector is the approving authority, and I think it needs the word for all tree permits. And then here's a really nitpicking one. Word suggested this, going from clear cutting to clear hyphen cutting. That's truly nitpicking, but I threw it in. I think that might be it.
Well, if there is a time to be nitpicky about anything, it is now, while we have the opportunity to do it.
Yes. That is all I caught, and I don't know if you caught any more, Kate.
No, that was thank you. That was great. What you have brought up about the where was it? Having a brain fart. Here it is. The symmetry, I think, is a great, clarification, doing symmetry, health, and appearance to make sure we're covering all of those. Yeah, because what I was curious about with that, and I didn't realize it was a holdover from before, was that for particular tree species, symmetry might not be what you want to focus on, because we do have a lot of tree species that don't grow symmetrically. But I think that's a great way to cover those aspects as well.
Yeah, I had that same concern. A lot of wonderful trees do not want to look like lollipops.
Right.
Sounds good.
I don't have any other comments. I think this is the third revision that we've looked at in the
Third or
last few
fourth,
months.
yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of what we've discussed over the last few months have been taken into consideration and added. And at this point, I think, aside from what we were just discussing, I think everything looks great.
I
Katie,
concur.
can you send it to me with what you just put up on the screen?
Yes.
I'll work to just put it into the ultimate format that the board has, so that
Yes.
we can, get it at, and I'll talk to the manager about getting it on a work session, most likely October, November, probably October. We'll
Okay.
talk about it, but if you can get that to me, I can get it in the proper code format.
All right, let me.
So Stuart, real quick, I don't know what else is on the agenda for the board in September, but Valerie mentioned to me if we get the okay with,
Oh, that's right. I think you know what? I think it might not be, it's not. It's either the 11th, I don't think it's the 10th. I think it'll be the
September
25th.
Yeah, and the work session would be September 10th. So
Oh, okay.
if we're
So-
confident enough in bringing it to the board, we can bring it to that work session.
That's fine. So then
Do I
cancel
need to be
everything I just said.
present? Okay, do I need to be
Uh,
present for the work session?
Only if you wish to. Uh, uh, Ordinarily, our work sessions are Wednesdays, but because the board will be at the 9/11 commemoration that night, we pushed it up a day to the 10th. But Kate, if you certainly want to be there, you're absolutely welcome to be there. But Katie, I'll get it from you, so I'll have it ready for the 10th work session. If the board is okay, then we could call on the 18th for a public hearing, which would be in October, and then ultimately approved sometime by the end of that month, which would mean it could potentially go into effect certainly by the end of the year, if not before that. So that's the schedule. Thank you, Danielle, for reminding me.
Yeah, and Valerie will already be presenting a couple
Right.
of items at that workshop, so
Right.
she'll be there and she can present this, and then I'll be joining on Zoom to assist with any questions that they may have.
Okay,
Perfect.
yeah, that would be great, because I have doctor appointments for my kids that evening, so I want to make sure that I am available if needed, but if you are going to be there and can answer questions at the work session, that would actually be great. And I'll be available when it comes time if we need to present it
Mhm.
to the board, or whatever we have to do, even for the public session, I'll be available for those.
Sure. Sounds good.
I'll let you know the date of that hearing, Kate.
Okay. Are there any more comments on the tree preservation law before we move on? I'm gonna take that as a no. Okay, so new business of the board, the first item for new business of the board that we have is James Street CDBG application. I don't have any paperwork for that. So I wasn't sure, what specifically we would need to look
Sure.
over for today.
I don't have the paperwork, but let me give you just a brief overview. Maddie is better because she's been doing the grants. CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. So it's a grant program, which is actually federal, but it's run through the county. It is basically a 3-year program. So this would be for calendar years 25, 26, and 27. We present the county with 4 prospective projects. The James Street one is being put before you folks because it is within your area. It's basically from James Street, and it's gonna, what we call now Breakneck Hill. Hopefully, once this is done, it will no longer have that name, because that goes from James Street down to Hunter, which a lot of people traverse. If you were to go to the very end of James and you go there, there is what is now essentially a really crummy path that goes down. It gets icy, it gets rutted away, but a lot of people go back and forth on that to get to the train. So part of this project, there are four areas of the project. One is streetscaping on Ellis Place, which Trustee White is certainly familiar with. There are others. There is streetscaping. I think there's one on William Street. There's a continuation of the Spring Street work, which would go this time all the way down into basically to Revolutionary Road down to Sparta. And then finally, this is the James Street one, which would be this particular work. And it would be streetscaping, it would be, ADA. In this case, it's not exactly clear how they'll be doing the walkway down to Hunter. Will it be switchbacks, or will it be some other way to make it, let's say, ADA accessible, because it is, steep at that point. But basically, it's one of 4 grants. I forget, I'd have to look at the resolution. I think we've asked the county for $200,000 and we would put up about $359. But basically with the county, we had made proposals to the county of things that we would like to do. the county comes back and says, well, these are probably the ones that are doable for you. The county basically, gets the contractors, they do the plans, they do all of it. Our job is basically to oversee a lot of this through the county. But it's, again, we're just finishing the 2022, 23, 24 set, which included a part of the Spring Street project already. And this would go further for the next. We've used it on occasion to get adaptive playground equipment. We've used it to get other things, but this would be specifically for these areas. And so the James Street is coming before you because it does involve the area of the village. Also, of the 4 projects, it's the only one that would be unlisted under seeker. The other projects are all type 2 actions, so it would not require any environmental review. This most likely will be a negative declaration by the board, but because it does involve seeker and the CDBG grant requires a seeker review where required, or at least the presentation, that's why we bring it to you, because under our code, if it is an unlisted action, not only does it have to go through seeker, but obviously we get, we hear from you folks as well. So that's really the whole thing. I don't have any plans or anything. All I have is essentially the resolution that went before the board. And that is to authorize the village manager to submit the applications. I think we're pretty close to the application deadline date, so we're going to get those in pretty soon. So they wanted to essentially to get the sense from you folks, specifically with regard to James Street, although as I mentioned, there are 3 other projects, but only because of the environmental review is it specifically coming to you folks.
Well, that was a great explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I vaguely remember discussing this briefly, maybe a couple of years ago, when one of the other sites were being discussed. And I think that's when I first learned about people taking that particular street down to Hunter Street. Okay, yeah. So they would need us to review this, the stuff at an upcoming one, or do they need something from us in writing now?
Just even a short, if you can have just a brief discussion, just a short note that you've discussed it, and you're in support of the project and, et cetera, et cetera. It won't, as I said, it only deals with the James Street end of it because that's the only one that would be an unlisted action under seeker. It does not, but that's really all I think that's being, looked for, from what I understand. Danielle, if I've said anything incorrect, just let me know.
No, you explained it pretty well, pretty in depth. So thank you. My only question is, Valerie mentioned to me potentially reviewing this for LWRP consistency, but
I think that's
necessary, then
I think that's correct.
okay.
I think both the environmental, but also, Kate, because it does go west of 9. That would be that's basically a project where you would be involved with, because the village is, although the village is operating the project, it is west of 9, so that comes under your scope of review.
Okay.
Correct. And if you guys need any, I have very little documentation about it because we're assisting them in filling out the applications, which are due in 3 days. So we already submitted last week. So we have some of the documentation. I have a project narrative and all of the seeker forms and a coastal assessment form. So if you want, I can send those over.
That would be great. So they don't need the letter this week, right?
No, so, well,
Okay.
I think that, Danielle, you said they got the applications in already, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we already
Okay.
submitted for the
So I
seeker meeting.
think, Kate, maybe what we can do is Danielle can send, you and the other folks, and I forgot that I actually have some of them here myself, some of those seeker documents, if you want to look
Okay.
at them to get a better understanding of the project.
Yeah.
Look at them, discuss it among it, and then perhaps we can get a letter from you, within the next, week to 10 days or something.
Yeah,
whatever
I
that
can
is.
definitely get something to you next week. Just this week is
Fine.
the start of school and the start of
I
the
know.
fall semester. So I just need to get through
That's
the next
fine.
2 days. Okay.
No,
But
that'll
yeah,
be
I'll
fine.
take a look at that once I get it. I'll take a look, draft a letter and we can circulate it and get it to you within the next week and a half.
Great. So Danielle, if you could circulate that, if you want to just send it to Jamie Kane to have her send it around, that'll be great.
Sure, I was just gonna send it to the EAC email
You are even better. Perfect.
if that works. So, Stuart, I guess what I'm not sure about is if we need to go through that LWRP form or if just a letter is appropriate.
I think the letter should be okay. The folks here are pretty familiar with the LWRP form.
Right.
So Katie and Kate, if you folks see something on there which causes you pause, obviously let us know. But
Okay.
you know, let me put it to you this way, Danielle, I don't believe that the county is looking for that form to be filled out because the LWRP is more from
Right.
what we have to do under our code. But
Yeah,
if
no,
in
I
fact
totally
they-
agree.
if
I'll
in
do
fact they
one
want-
just,
should
I'll
they
do one
want
just
it,
as a safe,
yeah, should they want
Right.
it, you know, it can be filled out, Kate can fill it out. We can have it, we'll have it as a record in the event
Yeah.
that it's needed.
Perfect.
so then that's what I'll do then. So I'll
Yeah.
draft up a letter and we'll fill out a WRP as we do it and, you know, just cover all our bases and any questions that they might have from there, we can go from
Good.
there.
Yeah, that sounds great. And thank you again, Stuart,
No
for
problem.
clarifying. And I think most of the stuff in the LWRP form anyway will not really be applicable,
Right.
Considering the scope.
And actually, when you said the word streetscaping, my first reaction was, I certainly hope it's a way that we can increase the amount of tree cover in any way possible rather than reduce. So that's what I have my hopes up for.
And they are also proposing some stormwater mitigation in that area as well to prevent flooding downhill from Breakneck because
Excellent.
the water goes
That-
right into low income housing and
Yeah.
that's why they're
Mhm.
eligible for CDBG. So
That's great. And especially that is a very steep slope. So that will be a great addition there.
Greenway, yes.
Okay, so are there any other questions or comments about the James Street CDBG application? No? Alright. So the next item is item B, zoning code chapter 270 definitions. So we're looking at the zoning definitions and use classifications. This has been updated. So let me just pull this up on my screen. All right. So was there a particular definition in that we should go over, or was this more for, I know we had discussed this briefly before, for FYI purposes at this point, or is there any commentary that you need from us as far as a letter or
Again,
okay.
on this one, it would be more, because it's gonna be reviewed. I guess the theory was that because it involves all the zoning districts,
Uh-huh.
which involves zoning districts west of Route 9,
Right.
theoretically, you know, some of these changes or, you know, revisions could affect those districts. Because what we've, but as I mentioned earlier, if you were to compare the code currently to what is proposed, most of the terms are already in the code. We've shifted things around. Some things that are new, we now have, as you know, two what we call overlay districts, one on
Right.
Croton Avenue and one, you know, one down, one on Main Street.
Mhm.
The terms that are used for the overlay districts, like frontage zone that was never defined. That was defined in the specific section for overlay. It's now been brought up to the definition section. So a lot of
Okay.
that has been done. There were a few other changes in terms of some. I'm just looking at a couple of things they did here, but for the purposes of the EAC, it's really more that any of these changes could impact a zoning district where you guys get involved, but no specific change that that changes, one district versus, one district versus another. But we did want to, as I said, put in certain definitions, particularly definitions which we see more frequently now, or terms now that we didn't see before. And some of that, has been done, but it's mainly to, shift some things around to make it a little bit easier for folks when they go through the code, because chapter 270 is long enough as it is, and we could make it a little bit different. We can. One of the things that we did do, just to point out, in a couple of the zoning districts, and this one specifically refers to the Conservation Development District, which is essentially, that's west of 9, and that's essentially, if you know where this, the North Side Firehouse is, which is right off Snowden Avenue. Behind that is a large green area, leads to Beach Road, Sandy Drive. That's the CDD district in the village. Okay, that's the Conservation Development District. Is limited development, limited, what can be done there. What's been done there, and it's to be consistent in other parts of the code, is we've taken out the phrase habitable area. We've made it now livable, so that it's consistent across all the different zoning districts. We used to have it split up. And we've also, changed the square footage. So for livable, it's, 600 square feet now. For an efficiency, it's got to be 750 for a 1-bedroom, 900 for
Okay.
2-bedroom, and 2-bedroom and more, 350 are each additional square footage. And we've defined now what is actually livable space. And I said we've taken out habitable, and it's just because it was getting very confusing among the different types of districts in terms of what was going on and what was not going on. But other than that, it's a lot of, as I said, this is all definitional changes. It's not, we haven't changed anything in terms of, site plan review or anything like that, or anything dealing with historic preservation. Those are things to come, but they're not there here. So this is to just sort of get this part started,
Okay.
and do that. So that's what all this is.
All right, great. Yeah, I'm familiar with the CDD area. I live a block away. So it's, yeah, I know exactly what all that looks like.
I must tell you, I have been spending the last week reading deeds for Beach Road, because it's very confusing what the village owns, what the private property owners own, and Sandy Drive is completely a different world unto itself, because the village paved the first 128 feet and then some does the rest. It's like, but it is the only CDD district we have, and it's in a very busy area. I mean, as you know, it's surrounded by what it's surrounded by. So, but that's really what all this, all these changes are. Danielle, I don't think I've missed any, but if there's anything you can think of, please feel free.
No, you once again perfectly
So this was
described.
all really, I want to, my great thanks to the folks at Nelson Pope, because they put together the initial spread of this stuff. And it took monumental work to go through it, and it's here now. The board has already held a public hearing. Now the folks at Nelson Pope have done all the seeker documents. So basically, we just wanted to, get your input. Kate, if we could get something from you folks before the 21st of August, my hope would be at
September.
not the 21st of August, forget that. My hope would be to get it before, let's say, 18th of September.
Okay.
Because that way, if I get that from you, then at that point, I can get this before the board to adopt at that time.
All right.
Because otherwise, we've gone through everything else.
Sounds good. I can do that.
Great.
And if we have comments, if members have comments, Kate, when would you like them?
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, feel free to, send them through and best I can answer, otherwise I'll ask Valerie for her input, but,
If
please
if
feel
you
free.
have any particular comments that you see offhand and you just want to get them to me,
yeah, that'd be great.
at your
Katie.
convenience, then just send them over to me. I'll start drafting a letter, regardless, and then, whenever I finish, I'll send it around. If I get comments from you before I'm done, I'll incorporate them into the draft before I send out, anything for review.
I'll try to not be at the very last minute, so,
Oh, I totally understand.
yes.
Believe me. All right, so I just want to make sure I have everything accounted for. So we've addressed the tree preservation law. We know that we're gonna try to get that on for work session next September 10th.
Right.
Public hearing will be scheduled for October, most likely. And then on the James Street, I'm gonna send out a draft to Katie and Nick. We'll get some feedback if you have any, to get that to the board within the next 7 to 10 days with an LWRP review as well. And then I will get comments from Katie and Nick in the next week or so and get you a letter for the Chapter 270 review before September 18th.
Perfect.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
And
Sounds
Stuart,
like a plan.
just want to confirm with Stuart, are you going to take tonight's revisions that we discussed on the tree ordinance and format it, or is that something you want us to do?
Danielle, I'll be happy to do it because I've got to put it into the format for the board anyway. So
Okay, perfect.
I've got your stuff. I think I've got it. Katie, I've got your stuff here. So that is not a problem. It's all in Word, so it'll be easy for me to just put it over into BOT format.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
What I'll do is I will then send it to you folks, just to give a final look, see if there's anything you want to change. So that by the time it gets before Valerie makes the presentation with Danielle on the 10th, we basically have, essentially a copy that we can present to the board. The board may have questions itself, and obviously if it does, some of those may require some revisions, which is fine. But at least this way we'll have something to present to them at that time, and they can, comment on it or, direct us to go to the hearing, whatever they want to do. But we'll have it for the 10th, but I'll have it for you folks before that to look through it.
Sounds
Great.
good.
Sounds great. So are there any other comments or questions? No. All right. So then the September 3rd, I can't even remember what month we're in anymore. September 3rd meeting for the Environmental Advisory Council is adjourned. And
Stuart,
I
can
will
I ask Stuart,
oh,
can I ask you a question? Are we having our
Yes.
special meeting tomorrow at 8?
8 a.m. tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Good night, everyone.
Night all.
Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone.
Good night.
Night.